runs the query and returns the results to you. Okay, so pretty straightforward there. In terms of the actual add functions, and I'm going to just run through the actual add product here, because a lot of these are really, again, the same. They're just changing the query about what gets added to what database. Okay, so in fact, most of them were copy and pasted, and I just changed the query. Okay, so for our add product, we're globalizing our database functions, which are the ones in our db.php file here. And we're checking to see if data was even submitted. So if the post array is empty, we're just going to return. We're not going to do anything because no data was submitted. Then we're just running to start. Then really what you do when you start for adding data is you run checks. Okay, check to see if post data was submitted. That the form should have been submitted from. Then we figure out the URL the form was actually submitted from, and then we run a check. If the two don't match, we kill the script and we return an error. Okay. Now we have this, and by the way, this here, if I were to look back at this, I probably wouldn't do this anymore, simply because you notice this, what I'm doing here to get these URLs, that can be a little bit tricky and doesn't necessarily work on every server. So you may have a server where someone's actually submitting it from the page it's supposed to get submitted from, but it's not. This still doesn't work because this information isn't getting passed correctly. Okay, if you try and do it on your server and you can't figure out, try and use the script, and you can't figure out why data is not getting submitted and you're getting this error, you may just take this stuff out. You can just really just comment out this check right here. The big thing that you would do for making sure people aren't submitting data once, and then we have a nonce check that knows what is supposed to get passed in that nonce, and it then will recreate that, and it'll run a check. Okay, so if that doesn't match, then it's not going to submit the form. Again, it's going to kill the script and return an error. So again, we're just running a bunch of different checks. Now again, I don't want you to get too far into the weeds with this. Okay, don't get too caught up in exactly necessarily how this is done. The big thing here is to know that the first thing you do before you just put data into a database is you check things. You check to make sure that you check the data to make sure it was submitted from where it was supposed to get submitted from. How you do that, that's where you get creative. Okay, that's where you start. Okay, we want to do a nonce check, okay, so on and so forth, and get in there and get creative, because there's literally a bunch of different ways that all different kinds of scripts do it, and each one will tell you that the way they do it is the best way to do it. Okay, all right. So do some research on your own, and you have to make your own decisions about what you think is the best way to do stuff. And again, this is where when we get into when you release stuff, then